Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien on the morning of Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. Stand by for a special conversation, not commentary, conversation today with you humans, especially Americans. I had a little disagreement with one of my co-pals that I used to sit here in Sterling Court in Deltona, Florida. I'm a senior citizen. Here on your planet, waiting for my time to go. It'll only be 15 seconds for me. But I've been here over 50 years now, 52 to be exact. Next month it'll be 52. And the guy that I sat with, his name is Arnie. He embellishes everything that you human beings are. Terrible. He doesn't think of anybody but himself. He thinks of only money and power and who he knows and what he knows. That's all he thinks. Just like you Americans here, especially. Or Vladimir Putin. He's probably a good example of a Vladimir Putin without the power. That's who Arnie is. And the reason I'm bringing Arnie up is because he embellishes everything that you guys are going to become extinct for. And I almost told him off on Thursday when he got into me for the third time. One time is good, 2 times as well, shame on me. 3 times, I would have busted his lip and put him in the hospital. But what would that do? That would just put me at the level of you human beings. And after 50 years of being on your planet, I don't want to be in that level anymore. My race passed that level centuries ago. You guys haven't. And for that, you're going to be extinct in 43 years. In a couple months, you're going to be extinct. And I forever, even today, I kicked myself for not helping my wife because I couldn't. And I also kicked myself for saving 300,000 of your asses after that mushka kicked your asses to oblivion. Oh, do I kick my ass about that. You guys have shown nothing good about your human race. Case in point, the Ukraine. And you're saying, what the hell does the Ukraine have to do with this? Everything. Because I'm putting this video for my cohorts that are coming in about 8 years. And they're going to study you for 5 years. So you guys from Ontario that are coming in, I'm 36 years ahead of your time when you read this video. I had a armada of 37 ships. We could have destroyed the Mushka. We're taking some losses. But I would have lost around 7 ships. They would have lost 300 because they had an armada of 300. For a planet like Earth, can you imagine an armada of 300 ships for a stupid planet like this one? With indigenous people that resembled our ancestors, both in appearance and thinking. They're the ones that killed themselves, not really the Mushka. The Mushka just did the mop-up work. They killed themselves long ago, and it was back here in the year 2021 of their calendar, and 22, with the Ukraine mess. Ukraine was a nation state. Russia was a big, powerful nation state. There were 3 of them that thought that they controlled the planet. The United States of America was a supposedly democratic empire, and they went around creating a lot of problems. The Chinese, they were Johnny-come-lately. A totalitarian state, they called themselves communist, but we call them, in their human word of English, or language of English, we call them totalitarians, same as the Russians. And the problem that they didn't realize was, well, the Russians, under Vladimir Putin, couldn't beat the Ukrainians on a flat-out battle. But they knew that the West, the Americans and their cohorts on what they called the West, it's a continent of Europe mostly, were paper tigers. They had the mouth like my friend Arnie had, but when it came down to convictions, they didn't have it. Arnie was a guy that's 70 years old, and I could have leveled him to the ground and cost me a lot of problems. Just like I could have intervened in the affairs of the humans and cost me a lot of problems with my bosses. But the humans let the Ukrainians get exterminated by the Russians, specifically Vladimir Putin, for the following reasons. One, Vladimir Putin knew he couldn't, at a head-on thing, beat the Ukrainians. Sure, the West was giving them weapons, but they weren't giving them the weapons that they needed to defeat the Russians. They were just giving them weapons to stalemate. And you guys know from my civilization that stalemate doesn't work. It's either dead or alive. The binary system works perfectly. And war is only thought for two things which the human beings, especially Americans, don't understand. One, you want to exterminate somebody. Two, you want to survive. There is no civilians, there is no non-combatants, and there is no rules of war. Vladimir Putin knows that pretty good. So he knows he can't head-on beat the Ukrainians. So he decided to back off because he knew time was on his side. He had a military that wasn't working. Boy, it was awful, actually. It was worse than the Mushka. And you know how the Mushka military is. If they can't outgun you, blast you, they're in no shape to fight. When they fight us, we could beat them on a 3-to-1 ratio. We even beat them at a 7-to-1 ratio. But that's because of us. They have never in the last 2 centuries learned that. Because they don't like to learn. Same with the humans here. They don't like to learn. But Vladimir Putin is a guy that thinks differently. He thinks almost like we do in Ontario. He's going to back off his forces. And as history tells me from August 31st, 2064, he backed off his first forces. He went to the east and literally used his people, both in Russia, sacrificed them with the so-called sanctions that the West has put on him, and his military that wasn't functioning right, but he could take care of the dead. He took and suffered losses, big time. 20,000, 25,000. That's a big time loss on a force of 150 plus thousand. Yeah, that's a big time loss. Okay? Are you hearing me, humans? And he went to fight not city, but tanks. He knew that the Ukrainians couldn't match him there. And that the Europeans would not provide him with that because they wouldn't provide him with aircraft. Can you imagine they don't provide him for offensive weapons? An aircraft and a tank is both a defensive and an offensive weapon. Therefore, the Ukrainians lost. 17 million of them got slaughtered. And he spent the next 5 years before he died hunting for the remaining 13 plus million that survived and went there. He went to different nation states, and where he found them, he exterminated them. It took Europe a long time to recover from this. The United States ceased to exist. Yeah. China, well, they limped along until the Mushka destroyed them in 2065. Anyway, Putin won. He dies in 5 years, 2027. But he won. So I'm just putting it out there for you Americans and humans. You guys never learn your lesson, and therefore you got extinct, both as a nation and as a race. For us, I picked up some of your trinkets, your Constitution, and your Declaration of Independence, which I want to show other civilizations and say, here was the start of something good that didn't amount to nothing because the people never looked at it with their hearts. This is your favorite alien, doing a special talk to you. Don't be like that guy Arnie, which you get 6 billion of you and he probably represents 5,900,000,000 of you. I'm pretty sure there's 100 million of you somewhere around on this planet that don't think like Arnie. Are you willing to survive? That is up to you. Good day.